Hello everyone, Enrico Rapetian here with Violin Outside the Box, and we're going to do a video about ethics, orchestra ethics, how to behave in chamber or symphony orchestra or an ensemble. This is good enough. We're going to talk about orchestra ethics, codes of behavior that are, accepted, written, non-written rules that are not taught anywhere except when you get the job in the orchestra. We're going to talk about different topics, maybe some of the most important ones, and I hope this will actually help you to avoid the mistakes I made myself, or a lot of other young players make when they get a job in orchestra, but they've not been taught how to behave in this orchestra. Be on time. So in my culture, I come from Armenia, beautiful country, but people often tend to be late. In places, at least it used to be like that. It's part of the culture. We're a little bit more relaxed and like enjoying our times. So it happened a few times that I would be a few minutes late in an orchestra there, and it was fine because others were late too. When I was coming here, a friend of mine told me, "You're going to America, huh? Make sure you don't arrive late. Yeah, prepare your parts and things, but don't be late." And I learned from an experience that you can't be late in a professional orchestra because it's just not polite. Simply not polite to your friends who are already there. And I try my best to never run late. I can't say I've never been, but I try really hard. You can't be late because it's not just you, it's the whole orchestra. And it's really not a nice picture when everyone is there and you're kind of shuffling, trying to find your seat there. And it's just not polite, simply not polite to be late to an orchestral rehearsal. I come from a culture that was a little more relaxed about these things, and I learned in some ways the hard way that you need to be on your chair 5, even 10 minutes before the rehearsal starts. So plan to arrive half an hour early. Things happen on the road. This way you still won't be late, hopefully. Especially for string players, wait for your concertmeister. Your concertmeister will stand, get the A. Usually the bow will be, here or there. Do not move your bow until you see the concertmeister move the bow. That's just impolite to your leader. That's how simple it is. I'm going to follow that up with another idea about respecting your principal, the concertmeister, or the principal of your section. You have a question. There's something burning, in your heart. You don't know if it's a C sharp or a C natural. You want to ask. Pass it to your principal, or if you're a first violinist, pass it to your concertmeister. Shouting to the conductor, "Excuse me, is that a C sharp in measure 25 or C natural?" That's a direct disrespect to your concertmeister. There have been cases when we had in orchestras, we had very limited time, and sometimes, in the last moment, the section player asks a question directly to the conductor. I can understand that, but in general, the accepted ethics is: do you have a question? If you're fifth stand, pass it to the fourth stand, they will pass it to your principal. If you're second stand, ask your concertmeister or the principal, and they will direct the question to the conductor. Following that up, if the principal, your principal or the concertmeister, has a remark, let's say you're sitting on a second stand, and the concertmeister turned, your first violin, second stand, the concertmeister turned and told you, "We're going to slur this passage." Make sure you pass it. And make sure you ask person behind you to pass that too, unless it's become such a routine orchestra that you are really sure that the people behind you are going to pass. It's important that the information passes all the way back, so don't be the last one in that link. Next one. Oh, here's a good one. If you're a classical musician, if you're an orchestra, do not tap your foot. It's just wrong. It's just wrong in many, many layers. One, you're disrupting everyone else. Because what if you're actually rushing? Then you're going to rush the whole orchestra. See what I mean? Because you're not only rushing yourself on your instrument, but you're also making everyone rush tapping. It's extremely annoying, very, very annoying, and really not professional. If you're in high school orchestra, that's the most you can do. You can still have some kind of an excuse. Well, I'm still in high school. Anywhere beyond that, university orchestra, do not tap your foot. There is also, that's the ethical part of the question. There is an aesthetic part of it. In classical music, rhythm is not a rigid thing. like that. It's very, it's fluctuating the whole time. In some symphonies, you'll see the conductor, playing around, playing with the rhythm, improvising with the rhythm the whole time. So tapping your foot is going directly against the whole concept of classical music. I like thinking this way. In jazz, in other styles, we improvise with actual pitches. You create notes, you come up with notes. In classical music, we improvise with time. Think about this way. Here's a more romantic way, sentimental way of putting it. The jazz music is the heartbeat, boom, 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 a little more stable. Classical music is breathing the air in, so there's pulse to it, there's continuity, but it's different every time. So do not tap your foot, it's just wrong. I'm going to follow that up with, we're living in an era of cell phones or smartphones. I don't take my phone to the pit. Pit. I play now. I play no opera orchestra. Try to not. If I take it, it's because it was in my pocket and I just walked to the pit with that. Then I turn it off, and I don't turn it on at all. One, the light from your phone can distract people who are around you. Two, why returning your phone and why using your phone during a rehearsal. There are a lot of times when I've seen people, there is a 30 measure rest and they start texting or looking up something. It's really not time for that. It's very disrespectful for the conductor. I just put myself in a place of conductor. I would be extremely annoyed. You're not doing good service to your peers in the orchestra, and it's a disrespect to the conductor. And say I'm crossing my legs, that's also disrespect in orchestra. Most people know this, but I've actually met a lot of people who didn't, actually professional players. So here's about, turning pages. I think it's accepted common standard that, standard that the inside player, and I'm talking about obviously basically string players, because woodwinds and brass, you guys have the luxury of your own stand. And my audience is probably going to be violinists or string players. So the inside player turns the page. Outside is the closer to the stage, right? But also there is this kind of an unwritten rule that the inside player also does the markings. If the conductor goes, "Can we please play this passage with separate bows?" the inside player takes the pencil and goes, just marks that. And don't forget to bring a pencil. That's another thing, of course. But that's, a subject everyone talks about. So I'll just mention it fleetingly and go on. So the outside player is there to play as much as possible. Inside is the one who can skip some notes and turn the page. One more thing about outside, inside. If you sometimes we need to put fingerings. There are some kind of purist players who say, "Why are you putting fingerings in an orchestral piece? Just practice your passage." I can't. I can't memorize. If we're playing a Bruckner symphony, there's so many things to mark. I've just not been able to do it. I have to have some finger markings in the score, not too much, just enough in some pivotal places. And when I'm outside, I put the marking on the top of the line. When I'm inside, I put the marking on the bottom. This way, we don't, with my stand partner, we might have completely different techniques and different, we might be comfortable or uncomfortable with one or another type of fingering. So if I want to find my own fingering, if I'm outside, I looked on the top of the line. If I'm inside, I looked at the bottom, and trying to not mix this. One thing I've been very guilty of is practicing my solo repertoire during the orchestra rehearsals. Honestly, I was really young and just very, very excited about being an orchestra, and I thought everyone does that, right? You come to the orchestra and you just play, you warm up, and you play your Brahms concerto or Tchaikovsky concerto. You don't really do that. Or do it quietly. Now I still do it because there are times that even 5 minutes matter. I have a rehearsal and I have something else coming. I need to practice something quietly. If you're not playing the orchestra part, what's in front of you, what you're just going to rehearse in 5 minutes, play your other thing quietly and avoid placing that music on the stand. Because if your stand partner wants to practice the actual part you're going to play, they don't need to see your solo stuff on the stand. Before you start the rehearsal, just be polite, ask the person next to you and behind you, in front of you, if they have enough space. Sometimes it's obvious if your next stand is 5 feet away from you, they probably have enough space. But sometimes, especially in the pit, and I play in the pit most of the times, we get, if we're playing Wagner, if we're playing Strauss, large orchestras, Tchaikovsky, we get really close because there are a lot of people, more than usual string players too, in the pit. So make sure the person on your both sides, behind and forward, make sure they have enough space, and ask. Don't be afraid to ask. If you're an orchestra and if you're very tired and if you have to yawn, don't go, don't do that. There's a way to yawn with it. You know, you can do it a little more politely. I know you have to, we all have to yawn, but you don't want everyone to see that. Especially, it doesn't mean you are not ready for a rehearsal, but if I'm a conductor and if I see an orchestra player and another one yawning, that doesn't have a positive effect on my motivation to conduct that orchestra. Perfume, in our orchestra we have a rule, no perfume. Some people are allergic, and orchestra is not a place, it's not a glamour place. You are there to make music, to make beauty, and to not show yourself. Though it's nice if you're, you know, if you look good. I have had friends, this is just for string players. In some ways, these things may apply to other players too, but I don't have authority talking about that. The bow. Can you please don't put your bow on the stand? I know it's comfortable. You don't want to pack it, put it in the case when there's a little break. And I'm talking about when there's a small break. It's very easy to not see your bow. If your bow and violin are on the chair when you're leaving, which you should try to not do too, because things happen again, something falls. Again, I play in a pit, things fall from the stage. But in general, try to not leave your violin, your instrument, on the chair, but your bow on the stand, it has no business because it's very difficult to see. I have knocked down a stand partner's bow, and I don't think it was my fault. I think it should just not be on the stand during a break. Just remember that for good. So that's all I can think of. Now here's the thing, if you guys can think of anything more that I didn't cover, it's impossible that I covered everything. Please send me your questions, ask me. I'll be great to answer either individually or maybe with another video. And I want to thank you for watching this very, very long video on orchestral ethics. I am Dr. K. Please subscribe to my channel, Violin Outside the Box with Dr. K.